You are listening to the Curator Podcast, Season 2, Episode 12. An interview with LoPorto from Can't Swim. Chris, how the hell are you today?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
I'm good. You guys are back you're back here.
Oh, yeah.
How'd that happen?
Yeah, I don't know. I never thought we'd be here one time, let alone 2 times in like the course of 6 months. But yeah, we're back.
How you feeling about it?
Tired. It's great. We love it up here. The venue tonight is insane. It's like an old chapel, I guess, or church or something. So it's cool, man. Last time Scotland was very nice to us. Glasgow's cool. Glasgow. Yeah, it's great. Psyched to be back.
So you're a bit into the tour now. You're a bit into the album tour, I guess, generally. How are you finding it? How are you finding the kind of playing all the album songs now on the road? It's
great. Yeah, we were kind of getting a little stagnant just playing those 5 songs for a year. And we had the record in our back pocket for quite some time. So definitely we're itching to get it out and to play them live. We learned about half of them to play them, so we got a good amount. But it's been awesome. Yeah, kids have been very receptive, singing along to the new songs, which is insane to me because it's been out for a month. But it's been great, yeah.
I mean, so a lot of the interviews that I have read always talk about the same thing. And you know what I'm going to say, don't you?
Uh-oh.
It's all about how, like, oh yeah, you wrote a record in your bedroom and then you suddenly get signed and oh yeah. But I mean, how has it been adjusting from that to having an album out and kind of being a full-time band?
Yeah, man, it's something, like you said, I've been asked a million times about, that I didn't think any of this would happen. And then I think I was in a point where I was like, oh, it's definitely just going to be these 5 songs for the rest of eternity. I didn't think we'd ever be able to pull something off. But then as it went, the full length came together rather quickly. And now we're touring around the world. It's bizarre. I try not to think about it too much. I just try to, go with it. And I think if I did, I'd probably psych myself out and just quit the band and go home. So
Well, I've got some bad news for you. This podcast is about creativity.
Sure.
So let's get into that a little bit. Yeah. You weren't always a songwriter, is that right?
No, sir. Never was even much of a writer as a kid. Like, never kept a diary, or I did very awful in English class. Just was very interested in like rhythms and drums, even in music. I liked obviously bands for what they were talking about, but it really wasn't much about that. It was more just I was so focused on the drums, teaching drums and taking lessons for the drums. But yeah, Can't Swim was definitely my first endeavor. Even writing down words in a creative manner. I never did that before.
Was there a bit of trepidation when you started doing that you were kind of thinking, did you even have an end point in mind when you started writing the songs?
I wanted to just learn how to play guitar, and I started, just taking some lessons online, and then as any, late 20-year-old gets very bored with what they're doing, and I didn't take the proper steps in teaching myself. I just immediately started to write songs. But no, I had no idea until the songs were pretty much done musically, and I was like, oh, well, they're not going to be instrumental songs. Who wants to listen to that? Where I was like, oh, maybe I'll take a stab at singing them, and then I guess I got to write them about something, Yeah, it was the first time to be faced with that obstacle of like, oh, well, what should this song be about? It's a strange thing. It's definitely bizarre.
It seems like, I know that you've spoken about it in other interviews as well, but the way you talk about it to me, now that I'm actually hearing your voice and not just some text on the screen, is it seems like it might have actually came a lot easier to you than you might have thought it was going to.
Yeah, I think it's obviously odd to talk about yourself. But yeah, I think that was one of my advantages of just doing it kind of for fun and as a goof. I was so critical about my drumming, But with this was just a hobby. This was just strictly for fun and to occupy my time, where I think, luckily, it just came out where it can resonate with other people, and I think there's a sense of that. It's pretty simple at heart, and I think a lot of kids maybe gravitate towards it because, I don't know what I'm doing. So, hopefully it gives kids the incentive that, oh man, I could go start a band, because I didn't know what I was doing at all. And now I'm in Scotland.
Well, that's a really punk rock thing. And one thing I've noticed about your band is you are quite DIY still. Obviously you've been in Trash Talk as well, so I take it that ethos is quite close to your heart. Yeah,
man. I grew up playing in punk and hardcore bands. I think there's a few reasons why we do it, quote unquote DIY, is because we're poor and we're trying to save as much money as we can. But other than that, I think it just, we care about Can't Swim a lot. We want to get it right. And if you start putting your band into a lot of other people's hands, not saying it won't be good or not saying it won't even be better, but it just won't be Can't Swim, and I think that we're very adamant about staying, what we want to do, because I think that's why we enjoy it, because Lord knows it's not about fame and money, because we don't have either of those. But, if it became something that we weren't psyched on or didn't feel a part of, then I would just stay home, because why would you even come out here and do that, But yeah, Trash Talk taught me a lot. Those guys are very, very good friends of mine. I love watching their band play. I loved when I was a part of it. It's that mentality of like, well, I'm not gonna let somebody else step in and do this. Like, they've been doing that band for like 10 years, and they do it all themselves. They write the songs. They don't give in to whatever trend is popular in heavy music. They just write the same thing that they've always have, definitely inspiring, and it was cool to be a part of, and it taught me a lot about touring and being in a band, which was a blessing that I was in that band right before Can't Swim, because it was my first look into, like full-time touring guys, and they were the best to learn from. I think they have a really good attitude. That's about it.
My band played with those guys when they played over here at the start of March. Oh, nice. And they're fucking insane live.
Yeah. They are insane live. They are insane at 2 a.m. They're insane at a Starbucks. They're very entertaining to hang out with.
Yeah, because I was standing at the merch desk doing the merch, and the bass player just pulls out a bag of weed and starts rolling one on the merch table, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I guess this is happening then.
Yeah, don't quote me, but I believe that the tour I did with them, weed was actually on the rider, and we would show up to the venue and there would just be like a bag of weed. Yeah, it's crazy.
So let's go back to Chris.
Yeah.
When did you first decide you wanted to be in a band? What made you decide to be in a band? Because it's a weird thing to do.
Sure. Yeah. Growing up, my Uncle Mike, which is my dad's brother, played drums in a bunch of punk and hardcore bands in like the early 90s in the New York area. He obviously lived with my grandmother, his mom. I would go over there for Christmas and birthdays and stuff, and he had a drum set in the basement. I thought he was the coolest dude. A couple times his band was actually practicing down there, so I got to see the whole vibe of it all. And then whenever we had free time, he'd show me some stuff around the drum kit. But yeah, totally. It was all my Uncle Mike. My mom and dad loved music, but they don't play any instruments or weren't in bands or anything. But yeah, it was all for him. Like, all the music I like today is because he showed it to me on cassettes and vinyls and stuff. And just watching his band play made me want to do it.
I mean, that was you've had it in your life, like punk and hardcore, for like the whole time. That's really rare.
Yeah. It was something I gravitated towards because of him, I guess. I loved just the energy of it and the like non-showmanship. I always, even to this day, I hate when I go watch a band and kind of see that it's not like genuine. You can kind of see they're putting on an act. And with his bands especially, and then I guess punk is notorious for just people just wigging out, and something I was always attracted to. I thought it was the coolest thing. Yeah.
So do you aim for a different energy then when you're playing live?
I mean, I'm getting pretty old now, so I kind of just stand there, but in my head I'm like doing front flips onto the stage. I mean, obviously I don't think of Can't Swim as a hardcore or a punk band at all. But I like you were saying, I like to think we adapted or adopted some of their, mentalities of doing it yourself and doing it because we want to do it and not just because we think we're going to make $1 million one day.
I just thought I'd jump in here to say, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. You can do that by hitting the subscribe button in whatever app you're using. Now, let's get back to this interview with Chris. Nobody makes $1 million well, I guess a few people make $1 million from him.
Yeah, I can name 0.
Well, it's got to be John Lydon from the Sex Pistols.
That's true. You think? I don't even know. Yeah, he's maybe a millionaire.
He said some really questionable things recently, so, who knows? Maybe he's rich enough to be like, fuck, I don't care.
Right. I think the Misfits now they got a lot of money to do Riot Fest. So depending if they spent it all on makeup, yeah, but I don't know, punk is lucrative, I guess, if you want it to be.
What's a Green Day as well? Ooh.
That's true. Those dudes are for sure millionaires. Yeah, they have to be. Yeah.
I heard that Jerry Only still works in as a mechanic and stuff.
He just loves the cars. Yeah, I hate cars. That would be the last occupation. If I had $1 million, that would be the last occupation I had.
So I mean, as Cat's Film a full-time band now? Is this your life now?
Dude, this is totally my life. Yeah, I never would have thought, but we tour full-time. If I'm not touring, either writing a song or practicing with the guys, doing interviews, doing podcasts. Yeah, it's picked up rather quickly, but it has now become everything I do. Yeah.
Have you ever taken time to stop and think about how quickly it's been going?
There's a few things that come up, like the label will send me an email and be like, hey, like, we put out your first song a year ago. And I was like, what? It feels like a week ago. But like I said earlier, I try not to think about it. Just try to get through each day. And don't think about, I have no idea how to sing or play guitar. I just, love the guys in the band and feel very blessed to just get to hang out and work on stuff with them all day. Yeah, like I said, if I started to think about it, I'd probably just quit the band.
You're doing a pretty good job at the faking, the singing and the playing.
Well, thank you. Yeah, before this I was intending to be an actor, so I learned. Yeah, the guys are very helpful and patient with me. And Danny, our guitar player, who's also our producer and engineer, he's a fantastic singer. He has shown me the ropes and gives me all the breathing exercises and scales to practice. But it's fun. I don't think of it as anything different than playing the drums. I think we all go up there with equal, power. I don't go up there and be like, I'm the front man now. It's just we can't swim and we just play our songs,
So what was the? I was wondering about this. Why did Danny switch from drums to guitar?
Initially, the idea we had when we started to hash out the new songs from Fail You Again, kind of just felt like it was a little bit bland with just the two guitar players. On the record, Danny had a lot to do with adding some layers of guitars. There's a lot more harmonies. So initially, we were like, oh, we should get a third guy to play guitar and do some harmonies. And we were actually in the UK at the time, and Danny from the back, like half asleep, was like, well, I want to do that. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, then I guess we got to get a new drummer because I think it'd be a little weird if you were playing the drums and the guitar at the same time. So when we initially thought that he would be the guy to fit that role, Andrea, who was a longtime friend of ours, she lives on the block that we practice on. We went to high school with her. I always thought she was a sick drummer. Called her up. She knew about Can't Swim. She liked the record. And I was like, okay, well, you want to be in the band and play drums? And she was like, what? Don't you have a drummer? What are you talking about? And then we practiced, and then 20 minutes in, we were like, oh, dude, this is a perfect fit. Because we grew up right next to each other, I think we're all very similar and want to do the same thing with Can't Swim. And that's it. And then Can't Swim became a 5-piece.
So with playing those songs live with 3 guitarists now, is it actually added to any kind of different songwriting ideas?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Danny is a very talented man. He can play any instrument that you could think of. I definitely think. Someone
wants to shower.
Yeah, someone wants to shower. Yeah, I definitely think he brings a lot to the table in terms of just different colors and layers of. He's like a big pedal guy. He's insane at notes, so he could pick a harmony out of the wind. Yeah, I think all of us are now a lot more a part of the sound of Can't Swim, and it's not just me with a laptop. It's And especially now we get to practice and we get to sound check and hash out ideas. Even Andrea, she's the rhythm, so if I play a riff, I would have played this to the drums, Danny would have played this on the drums, and then Andrea plays what she plays on the drums. So obviously it's going to be a different dynamic. But yeah, it's great, man. I'm very honored to have each one of them. They're very talented young men and women.
Are you content with where the band is just now?
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day. I think some interview was like, what are your goals for 2017? And we were just like, I don't know, like doing this is pretty great. Yeah, I don't know if we have much expectations of other than just being a better band to ourselves. Love touring and we love putting out records. Once the ball gets rolling, it actually becomes pretty simple, if you keep your head level. I don't think we're really much worried about anything else. We just want to put out songs and play them in front of people. We don't think about much else. But yeah, right now we're getting a lot of opportunities to do that exact thing. So yeah, we're probably the happiest we've been so far.
That's not a bad thing at all, is it really?
No, man. I think you got to be content with what you're doing, because if you're always chasing something else, you're never going to find it. And no, we're psyched, man. Right now, like, it's great. I'm in Scotland. I never was in Scotland before, like, to play some songs that we like jokingly wrote. It's great. It's definitely a job. You got to wake up and you got to practice and you got to drive, but it's not a job. Like, I have jobs and I had jobs. It's not a job. It's a vacation that kids scream along to your music. It drives me insane when I hear, young bands like complaining on the road. It's like, dude, are you kidding me? Do you know what it's like to like pick garbage for a living? Like, we feel very privileged and yeah, we couldn't be happier right now.
You do sound as though you're quite, set in your place. Like, you're happy with where you are.
Yeah. It's another thing for advice. It's like, yeah, definitely surround yourself with people you want to be surrounded with. Because if I was out here, one, by myself, or two, with people that I hated, it just is not worth it to me. If you're going to be married to 5 different people in a van for 12 hours a day, you better make sure you like them all. Yeah, it's got to be like a family, because it can get real miserable real quick. But Can't Swim is the opposite of that, and that's why I think we're all enjoying it so much, just like friends hanging out.
It's a very, very positive way to end, I think.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Before I start to cry, yeah.
He's looking like he's welling up a little bit as we sit in this shower room, which is one of the most bizarre experiences I've ever had in my life.
Just sitting with a strange Scottish man in a shower, because this was the quietest place in the venue. It's very quiet, and it's like I can hear my heart beating.
Yeah. I'm getting that too, man.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
Maybe like people like to shower in silence.
Yeah, I guess so. It's a Scottish thing.
Is there anything else you want to say, or anything you want to ask me before we finish?
Well, I'm glad to know this is your first time doing a podcast in a shower, and I want to say thanks for taking the time. Hope you stick around for the show, jump off the stage, and I hope to be in Scotland soon again.
Speaking of jumping off stage, you just kind of a backflip, front flip, or just kind of dive guy?
I'm going to do like a Michael Phelps front flip, backstroke through the front layer of the crowd.
I'm looking forward to seeing that now.
Cool. Yeah, man.
Chris, it's been awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, man.
So that was my first time in the venue, St Luke's in Glasgow, which is a pretty cool place. It was a bit odd to interview somebody in a shower room, but it was actually the best sounding place that we could find in the whole venue. So yes, sometimes you just gotta make do. Can't Swim are a great band. I actually seen these guys supporting Boston Manor when I interviewed Mike and Ben last year, so I was really glad that I could actually have a chat with Chris. He's a really, really nice guy, and we had a nice chat afterwards as well, which I kind of wish I'd recorded, but sadly I didn't. Their album Feel You Again is out now. They're phenomenal. I really like them. They give me a kind of brand newish vibe, which I totally dig. If you're into alternative rock or alt rock, whatever you want to call it, if you're into that kind of music, then you would certainly dig this band. I think Can't Swim are awesome. Chances are, though, that if you're listening to this podcast, you already know who they are, and that's great. So if you could take a second to share this podcast with your friends, I would really, really appreciate that. That's all for this episode. You can find out more information about this podcast at www.thecuratorpodcast.com. Until next time, bye-bye.